All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome into this week's edition of the South Florida Comedy Calendar. We are coming to you live, as we do every single week, here from the Community Newspaper Studios in South Miami in their black studio. Guys, we have a jam-packed, really awesome show for you today. I am really excited for this one. I am Sebastian Alvarez, your host, as I am every single week. I'm one of the managers over at the Improv, and I'm a local comedian down here in South Florida, and I'm joined by my co-host, as I am every single week, Art Roche. How are you doing, my man?
Sebi, it's 2025. I'm sick and tired. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. All the comments, people making fun of the way I look. If they knew how long it would take for me to put on this human skin suit every morning, I think they'd appreciate it a little bit more.
That's true. If only you knew how long it takes. But going into last week in South Florida comedy, I will say that we had a really fun week, but it was started off, I think, by the highlight of the week, and that was the first new faces of 2025. The first new faces of the year is always a really fun time, guys, because everyone's got that extra little energy about what this year is to bring. They're gonna hit it hard, and this year's first new faces was no different, guys. It was really fun. We had over 150 people there. The lineup was stacked. Art, you got to host that show. It was a lot of fun. You got a little picture of Art there, provided by our absolutely fantastic photographer who's behind our cameras right now, Dan. He was famously, obviously, of Dark Vision. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you got to hit him up. But Art was out there hosting, got some really nice pictures of him. I was able to get up and do a guest set. Really fun time, guys. If you haven't done the new faces yet, there is another opportunity in January to do new faces. So that's going to be January 29th over at the Improv. I'm not sure, is that a Tuesday or a Wednesday, Art?
It's a Tuesday.
Perfect. So if you got nothing better to do on a Tuesday, you can easily go out and sign up for that new faces on January 29th. And I'm really looking forward to that as well. Very rarely do we get two new faces in 1 month, so that'll be a lot of fun. And if you guys missed the first one, don't worry, you can get up on that second one. Email newfacesfl@gmail.com to get on that show. This week, though, guys, we have a really fun show because we're going to be recapping this week and interviewing one of my favorite comedians down here in South Florida. She's super funny. She's produced shows all across, not just South Florida, but all across the country in the past. You can catch her performing everywhere. I want you guys here in the studio audience quickly to give it up for the very beautiful Grace Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me at the Comedy Calendar. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Grace. No, we're really excited to have you on and talk a little bit about South Florida comedy. We're going to get into an interview after we get through this week about you and kind of what you've done so far in the scene and maybe what you're looking forward to doing in the future. So that'll happen very quickly, but we're going to start off with one of your shows that you're producing. Actually, this is happening tonight. Monday night, we are having a bit of a secret pop-up show. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys, at 9 p.m. It's a bit of an underground little show you got going on tonight. It's a lot of fun. From what I've heard, is going to be the structure. We actually have a picture going up right now of one of the shows that you produced recently, which was over at Cuba Ocho. That was the roast of Marilyn Monroe that we had a lot of us South Florida comics being able to go up and have one of the funnest shows that we've had in a very long time. So this is kind of another continuation of that kind of style. We have a little bit of like a competition happening tonight, right?
Yes. It's a very like shotgun comedy event. You know, we produce them overnight and then we hope for the best. So the first first roast of Marilyn Monroe was actually very successful. So I'm happy to have put on one of the biggest lineups in South Florida comedy because, I mean, we all have to eat. So I feel that that's just like the best way to ingratiate yourself in the scene, especially, you know, since I've seen so many people come and go throughout my career. So this is what it's about. And, you know, why not have a cash prize? You know, a lot of us are not getting paid. So I'm trying to bring a little bit of, you know, a little bit of just like friendly competition into the scene just to make it a little more interesting.
Nice.
You know?
I unfortunately I missed the first two shows that you guys did.
You did.
I will be there tonight.
Thank you.
So anyone, well, I mean, it wasn't, I wanted to be there, I couldn't, but tonight I definitely will be there. So anyone, we're going to be posting this. Anyone that wants to come out, send a DM, ask what's up. We'll get you the address.
Yes.
It's a little bit of an underground show, so DM and you'll get the information.
Yes.
But
yeah, you can hit any of us here on the show up. If you saw our handles, you can follow any of us on social media, but absolutely, definitely reach out if you want to see these shows because they're going to be some of the funnest shows. They're going to be popping up anywhere. They're going to be some of the funnest shows in town because everybody's going to be bringing their A game. That's what I'm really excited about is that with that cash prize on the line, everybody's going to be doing a really good set. They're going to have to keep their material tight, no fat, no nothing. I'm looking forward to seeing.
It's also going to be live streamed, which is really interesting.
That's
on
right.
YouTube.
So we'll be anything that happens, even if you can't be there in person, you can watch it live. You can watch it unfold and be jealous of why you weren't there. You can get some FOMO while you're at it. But it is really cool that you guys are live streaming and have all that kind of infrastructure based around these shows. I think going forward, it's going to be really cool seeing all the content you're going to be able to produce and all the stuff that you're going to have coming out of that. So really, hats off to you. Really great job, not just producing these shows, but wrangling all these crazy comics together and getting them all on the same page is nothing but an undertaking, and you've done it gracefully. No pun intended.
Yes. Comedy therapist. Here we go.
There we go. Moving on to Tuesday, though, we got a show with one of our former guests on the show. If you saw her interview last week, you heard about this place. We got Magic 13 Brewing, ran by our good friend Daniela Delfino. She's been doing that show every single week now. It's a booked show and then an open mic now, I believe. So if you want to get booked on that, if you're a comic, you can reach out to Daniela. Or if you want to just show up tonight and go up, you can also get on that open mic. It's a really cool spot. The beer there is awesome. Like, I actually really enjoy the craft beers that they have there. Some breweries you go to, you know, they got one or two good ones. These guys have like a crazy lineup, so definitely go out there. It's super fun. Tuesday, that's at 8 p.m. Magic 13 Brewing. On Wednesday, though, we're moving away from the local scene and we're going right into the Miami Improv, and we have an out-of-town headliner coming through. She's sold an insane amount of tickets, by the way. Z-Way. She's the tour is called like Z-Ways America, I believe is the name of the show and the tour, but she was a late night writer for many years, for almost
since she was 25 years old. So
well, since she was 25.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's impressive as hell to be on one of those shows and be a head writer and be able to give that kind of material to some of the best in the biz is really impressive. And it's showing because her own stuff that she's doing now is clearly doing extremely well, because right here, we got a few tickets left here at the Improv.
That's right.
And
I'll tell you this, she calls herself, on her bio, it talks about her being multi-hyphenated, and it's true. I mean, she does music. She's got sketches, skits, stand-up, obviously. She's an actress. She's been on podcasts. So it's been really amazing.
Perfect. I love that, dude. I'm looking forward to this. It's a one night only, and it's only one show. So if you want to go see it, you can only catch her Wednesday, 8 p.m. Miami Improv. Get your tickets, miamiimprov.com. Moving on to this weekend, though, at the Miami Improv, I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite comedians who comes through here all the time. We got Big Jay Oakerson coming through, famously of Skanks, Legion of Skanks, his podcast that he does with Louis J. Gomez and a few other comics. I mean, the clips from that are some of the most viral like comedy podcast clips that exist on the internet. So if you don't know Big J, you will soon, because he not only is he blowing up, but he's kind of already a legendary stalwart in his own right. So I'm really looking forward to him coming through. Seen him before at the Miami Improv, and he was really great. First time he came through when I was working there, he actually pulled up to Taurus on a Thursday. He was wrangled there by Alex Tarno, who was hosting for him that weekend, and he came through, did a set at Taurus, got a little ingratiated with the entire audience. He actually then, after that Thursday that he had at Taurus, he came through on Friday because he had a whole weekend at the Improv, and me and Ben Smith, who also works at the Improv, who's been a guest on the show, we were kind of talking to him while he was waiting outside, just about how he had been to Taurus and the whole vibes, and he was like, yeah, oh, you guys are comedians, I didn't know. He's like, you guys want to go up? And we both like looked at each other and we were like, for real? And he was like, yeah, tomorrow, like, I'll give you each 5 minutes on the show. And we were like, oh shit. We were like,
Did you guys go up?
Yeah, we opened. Yeah.
Dang, I didn't know. Nice.
Yeah, that was it was one of the first times I ever went up at the Improv. Damn. Me and Ben, I think I did the first show, he did the second show. We each did 5 cool. on either show.
Well, I would say, like, for everyone that talks about, like, I want to see non-PC comedy, I want to see dirty stuff, push it to the limit, Big J does that. You know what I mean? You're going to see, he talks about the craziest things on his shows. One of a local favorite, I loved him. I saw him at Taurus that night, but the fact that he put you guys on the next day just gives him a little shining star for me.
Yeah, no, he's a real comic, and he didn't have to do that for us, and it was something that, like, for me as a young comic, it like spoke volumes. You know, it meant a lot to me, and so I always got a special place in my heart for Big J. Grace, are you a fan of Big J? Do you watch his stuff? You heard of him?
So I have heard of him, but is he coming to Taurus now again?
No, he probably won't be coming to Taurus. You know,
you should invite him though. Extend the invite.
If I open, I'll make sure to invite him. I'll make sure to invite him. If I end up opening for him or hosting, I'll do it for sure. But we'll see. But yeah, that's gonna be at the Miami Improv though this weekend from Thursday all the way to Sunday. Or Saturday, I'm sorry. So you're gonna be able to catch all of those shows. He's got multiple on Friday and Saturday, so definitely come out and get some tickets for Big Jay Oakerson. MiamiImprov.com, that's where you're going to get the cheapest tickets. Right there. Actually, the only place you can get tickets as well. Because if you go on any other website, guess what? They're going to be $500 more expensive, and then you can't use them at the door. Doesn't that suck? Don't do that. Here's another show that is sold out that I'm going to continue that little warning for you guys. Josh Johnson over at the Dania Beach Improv. Josh is one of the biggest, most successful up-and-coming comedians right now in the entire world. Yeah. I mean, his YouTube content that he's putting out now is honestly so impressive. He is burning 40 to 45 minutes of material, I think, every week from what I've seen. Yeah. He's done, I've seen things on... Show. I'm sorry?
He was on The Daily Show. Or
right.
He's on The Daily Show. He's one of the correspondents.
Yeah, he's one of the correspondents on The Daily Show, but I'm saying in terms of just straight stand-up material, like he goes on his YouTube, and I've seen a 45-minute bit about the Young Thug trial. Yeah. I've seen a 45-minute bit about the Drake and Kendrick beef. I've seen a 45-minute bit about all these different like topical things. And it's like burning hours of material like that, and they are polished 45. It's so impressive. If you don't
overnight. He literally writes it overnight because the next day he's talking about it, which is nice.
I remember him during the pandemic. Like he was one of the few comedians that was really hitting it, like hitting at a high level very, very often. That wasn't the least common denominator. You know what I mean? He was big. All the little changes that were happening week by week, he was hitting them week by week and putting out material on YouTube. It was really, really refreshing.
I mean, nice. the guy's so impressive in terms of writing, and I really love to see what he's put together for his like legit hour. Yeah. I'm assuming he's working on a special, or he has like an hour of special material that he's kind of touring around the country right now. So if you got tickets to that Dania Beach show, I think there are a few left for the 3 p.m. matinee show, which I'm assuming they recently added because everything else was sold out. So they were like screw it, let's do a 3 p.m. show, make some more money.
I want to go to that.
Yeah.
He's an incredible storyteller.
Well, if you do go, do send us some info, and next week we will do a recap, Grace's recap on the comedy calendar.
Oh my God, that would be so amazing.
Absolutely, because we won't be able to be there. We have to be at, we'll be at Big Jay, and then exactly. And Sunday we're performing. We'll be at. Well, we'll get into it here in a second, but
don't get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me.
Also, we aren't performing. Art's performing. You know, we many gente. But moving on though to the weekend moving on from the weekend. I'm sorry that we have over in Dania Beach and Josh Johnson. Again, there's only tickets available for that 3 p.m. show. If you see tickets anywhere else, do not buy them. It's only DaniaBeachImprov.com that you can purchase them. Don't pay an arm and a leg for tickets that don't work, for real. Moving on to Saturday though, we have a bit of a different show that's happening outside of the Miami Improv. It's going to be including a lot of our local friends that do stand-up comedy, but it's not going to be specifically stand-up. Do you have more information on that, Art?
So the comedy calendar obviously revolves around comedy, but it's a cultural thing. Miami cultural arts is blowing up. So a lot of our comedian friends, they've taken acting classes, improv classes, and this weekend, starting on every third Saturday, a bunch of them are going to be getting together at the Art Walk in downtown Hollywood, and they're going to be doing what they're calling Soapbox Monologues. So they're going to be putting a soapbox on the corner. An actor gets up there and
is that a box of soap? What is that?
I think it's literally bars of soap stacked up in
a box form.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. It'll be a little bit wobbly, I think, but
I wouldn't use it.
Well, you're not an actor, so you wouldn't.
That's right.
But to shower, why not?
I still wouldn't need a box of soap. You know what I mean? Like a physical, like made box of soap. I just need one bar of soap.
Oh, I mean, maybe it's one big bar in the shape of a box.
One big bar.
One big bar of soap.
It's like
yes.
a statue of soap.
Ivory. I think it's ivory. So
ivory.
That's the one.
Interesting.
But it's gonna be awesome. I mean, they're gonna be out there having fun. They're planning on doing it. And it's gonna be leading up to a big theater event. Cool. So if you would like acting, come out and support. It's gonna be pretty cool.
I mean, we have an acting comedian on the show right now. So that's interesting. I think there's a lot of comedians that are trying out like different avenues and trying to find their maybe not a niche, but find an expanded horizon in terms of what opportunities are. I think that's super great to see that these guys are getting into the acting and then also producing legit shows that are events for this. You know, it's one thing to just go out and like you do you film a special, or you film a little show, or you film a little something, a short film, and then it gets put out. Too many people might not see it or experience it. To get someone to sit down and watch your whole movie might be kind of tough, but to be like, hey, look, come out and experience this with us, have a night with us, like that's super cool. I think that's a really dope change of pace.
And it's interesting because Flash McElmore, he's an actor now, but he's also a DJ, he's also a comedian. He puts on a ton of shows up in Broward. I'm always asking him to send me the flyers, and this is the first one. So obviously he's very passionate about this. He's pushing it, but I'm looking forward to shouting out some of his coming up shows, his upcoming shows, and even being on some of them with you, Sebi. So
I love that. Well, moving on though to the final show that we have of the week. This is one that I'm really excited for a lot of reasons. And I'll let Art kind of take the reins here as he is hosting the evening, so I'll let you talk about it. But I'm really happy for the returning guest of the show, the special guest, the headliner of the evening. I'm excited. I didn't know he was coming, and I'm really, really happy that he is now, and I'm looking forward to that Sunday even more.
Yeah. So this Sunday, 8 p.m., we've been talking about it for a while. Have Nots live in Miami Improv. I'll be there. We have a lot of our good friends are going to be there. Luis Diaz, who's going to be on. Don P, obviously. But the one I'm most excited. Yep, Mark Christopher, you're absolutely right.
One of my favorite comics down here in South Florida, guys. If you don't follow Mark Christopher online, definitely give him a follow. Yep. He has some of the best material in South Florida, hands down. Love that guy.
And but the big, like you said, the big shout out is the return of the Badger, Ronnie Badger himself.
Sir.
Yeah, so he's been away for a couple of months doing God's work in Bahamas, but I'm excited to have him back. I'm not sure if he's back for 1 show, 5 shows. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm glad that he's on my show, and we'll get to hang out with him that night and see what he's been up to. I
love that, man. Yeah, Ronnie's been out in the Bahamas. The scene hasn't been the same without him, man. You know, I will say that, but it is really, really dope having him come back and then, you know, headline a Have Not show. That's the only proper way, I think, to welcome Rodney back into the scene for a little bit. I love that, man. Shout out to Have Not, shout out to Dom P and everybody out there. Always putting on great shows. Always putting on fantastic shows. Grace, have you done Have Nots before?
I have. Yeah, when they started it.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because you were doing it. Did you do it at when they were doing it at Umbrella?
Yes.
See, your name on Instagram is OG Comedy, but that is a real OG stance to take.
Yes. Back in Sunset Place, that was I don't know, like 3-4 years ago at this point. So
it hasn't been over 4 years ago, because when I started working at the Improv 3 years ago, he was already had been producing shows at the Improv.
And they would sell out. It was amazing. What a great group.
I think it was like 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, stop aging me, dude. God.
Well, you know, but I will say this: it's not really aging you, because it's about the experience that you've had in this scene, and it's
absolutely.
It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people respect you, and a lot of people have, you know, a very fond outlook on you as a producer and the things that you've done, and they can put their faith in you because you have such an established, you know, footing in this game, and it's really impressive. One of the things that I actually wanted to bring up as we get into the interview of Grace Kelly, I wanted to bring up a quick image, I believe, take you a little bit back to that first time you got on stage.
OMG.
What do you think about that?
I even asked you what kind of photos you were going to use. You're going to use, wow, you dug deep. That was Jeff Quintana's room. He had a speakeasy on 75th and Collins. And that's where Wynton Francis and I did our first open mic and our stand-up. And the way he had it was just, you know, you put your name on a list and he put it on that laundry string or whatever you call that.
Interesting.
Clothing line. There you go.
Line, yeah.
And he would just pull it randomly. And I was the 5th comic, and I didn't die on stage. I was actually just, I don't know, just hitting a wall in life and, you know, in general, in a relationship, at work, and just in life in general. And I went up there, and man, people didn't boo me. And
you survived. You didn't die.
I survived.
You got off stage. You felt fine.
Yes. That was like the biggest fear. I don't want to say like 2 hours before I went up, I was trying to figure out, because Wynton and I made a pact. And I was trying to figure out how I can annul this pact. And there was just no way. And we went up, and it was an amazing time. And I've been riding with him for the last 6 years. And so, you know, now we're getting, you know, just out of Florida, you know, out of Miami a lot. So it's a really good thing.
Heck yeah.
That's happened to us, because we started with maybe, I don't know, like 15 people, and we're the only 2 that actually stuck it out.
Interesting.
So,
we hear about it a lot of, you know, over a 3 to 5 year period after you started comedy, you see a lot of those people who aren't going to continue doing it, they fall off. You know what I mean? It just becomes a point where it's too much of a burden to continue. The
lifestyle will do that to you.
100%. And then, so that was your first time doing stand-up ever, right?
Yep.
But then I guess this would have been then the first time you were up at the Improv, correct?
Yes. That was. I took a comedy class with Mike Panzica.
Oh, cool.
And that was sometime in November, and the day before I drove to Baptist because I had a panic attack.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. My heart rate was like, you know, my pulse was above the roof, and it was, my blood pressure was like 180 over 1,000, and it was bad. I thought I was dying. I really thought I was dying.
And
I
what
was.
did the doctor say?
He said it was just performance anxiety, you know, and I invited him to the show. I invited a couple firefighters too, just in case. I wanted to equip myself
Smart.
with,
Hopefully
you know,
EMTs.
people
In
just.
case something happened, there's like, does
Right.
anybody know CPR? It's like, I actually do.
Yeah.
Right.
4
It
or
was the
5.
first time I'd ever performed in front of like over 250 people.
And what's the times from like the first performance to the first time at the Improv? How long was that?
About.
I only asked because your hair changed, but you're wearing the same pants, so.
So that means I keep it tight. But no, I want to say almost 9 months. You know, I respect the improv stage. I respect every stage I get on, and especially when you have the opportunity to speak in front of so many people, and you have the fear of dying on stage, right? I wanted to give myself that time. And what was great about that performance was that I forgot my punchline to my closer. And I stated that to everyone. And I stepped back, and everyone stood up, gave me a standing ovation.
Damn.
And that energy was what made me remember what the line was. And then I crushed it, and I got off, and it was fantastic. Fantastic. It was like a drug. And, you know, I've been doing it ever since. So shout out to Mike Panzica for giving me the, you know, the tools that I needed at the time.
And so was that a New Faces that you went up on?
No, that was
like a specific show they did for graduating the comedy class.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was going to say we have now you know, comedy classes that are done at the Improv that when you graduate from them, you open up the New Faces show. Like you open up the first few spots. So that's interesting that it was like its own show, its own night. That's really cool.
Yes.
But I'm assuming you start doing that. Like you said, you got off on the Improv stage. You did really well. And becomes like a drug. So how you get more of it is by producing shows yourself.
Absolutely.
Correct? So
absolutely.
this is a shot, right, from the first show you guys did over there?
That was the first show, but at the Improv. But I had produced a show at Night Owl somewhere in Wynwood, and it was a standing room only. And I had 12 comics, and I had Chris Cilio close it out for me, and that's what gave me the gumption to pitch it to Melissa at the Improv.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. This was your first improv show.
Yes. And it was I did a couple of them. And it turned out that was during COVID too. I was bringing people out during COVID with masks on and everything, and so that pretty much just kind of paved the way to everyone else who had produced shows before that realized that they could start producing shows again. So I'm really happy about the fact that I've been able to just, I wouldn't say pioneer things, but like just kind of set things into motion, which then allows other people to then do similar things. And that's why we have so many rooms now. It's, you know, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah. What a stacked lineup, by the way, you put together there. Winton, Julie, Kyle Grooms, I think, was on that lineup too, right?
Yes.
Super cool. Love all those guys. Big shout out to all those guys, including Winton, who you had mentioned too, who's super funny.
He's really my ace, man.
Love that guy. So now, that was kind of, you know, what you've been doing. What you're doing now in stand-up. Can you talk a little bit about that and the shows that you've been producing?
So I just started producing it, I want to say a couple of months ago, just because I gave up on that a little bit. It was hard for me to write material and then also worry and then travel outside of Florida, which is my goal, right? I don't want to be just a local comedian. I want to be known nationwide. I feel, you know, that's just... it's just my goal. And I was going to say nationwide is on your side, but I didn't figure out where to put that in there. But yeah, so, and I kind of just, you know, I went on a sabbatical with that a little bit because I couldn't worry about so many things at once. I couldn't juggle. And I met a wizard recently, and he has bestowed the responsibility on me to put on some good shows for everyone's entertainment. And so, you know, I'm just hitting the ground running right now and seeing where it goes. Yeah, absolutely.
And having somebody like you that's able to actually produce good shows when the opportunities arise is so important, because I've talked about, I've spoken with you about it, I've spoken with Art about it in the past, where it's like, if you're going to be a comic who produces a show, especially in the city of Miami, where the opportunities in the venues that are open to those kind of things aren't as, you know, available as usual, you know, you still got to compete with the city of Miami here.
Right.
Regardless of what you do or how you produce a show or where you are, like anywhere you are, you're competing with the whole city, even if it's in Kendall, that's a little more residential. So jumping on an opportunity just to like do it, but to not do it well, like that hurts the scene.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You almost close the doors to certain venues or to certain opportunities that if somebody who had the, the gumption and the drive to actually produce a show the proper way at that venue would have been able to do something that would have benefited everybody. Look at Taurus. Freddie Stebbins had this amazing idea 10 years ago and saw Taurus and was like, yo, this is a great spot. If I put the people in the corner here, and I put the mic here, and I put the light here, and I make everything, like, this could be a fun room.
And it's the longest.
And it's turned into 10 years of multiple people running it. He's been able to hand that baby off to different people, similar to, like, not exactly the same, but, like, the opportunity that, for example, that Dom gets with Have Nots. He's been on the show, and he's talked about how Have Nots, he's built this structure, not for him, but to put originally it was, but now it puts everybody on, and eventually he wants to give it to somebody. Like, those are the systems and those are the ideas that we have to, like, have in place and, like, keep in mind whenever we are as comics producing shows or going out into a venue or pitching something to a venue, is that, like, you are yourself right now, but you also represent the comedy scene at large.
Right.
And you've done such a fantastic job of not just carrying the burden of the Miami comedy scene through whatever channels you're trying to access, but also giving everybody an opportunity. Like, that's something that I think that you've also done a fantastic job, and I think nobody can complain about, is that you've given opportunities to a lot of different people and put them on in good spots, which not every producer can be said of.
Right. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the trust as well, right? Because, it's a huge risk when you're putting on so many people, right? And then even then, when you can't put on everyone, you're still getting some of that pushback. But I eventually everyone will have an opportunity, because I feel, sometimes your people are sitting on, like, really good gems, of just, like, good jokes that that maybe they only get on they're the last person at Taurus. But, like, I will sit to the very end to watch everyone, because at the same time, I am also scouting.
I'm hosting the room, and I'm not wanting to be there.
But I'm literally right in front, or, either front and center or just on the side. But not only that, I usually am there, or I will ask anyone who was at the show, like, how'd it go? Because I'm always looking for new talent.
You like the pain. I get it.
And
I got you.
I just love to curate really good lineups. That's just, it's a passion of mine.
What I was going to say is, like, most showrunners only run one show ever and never again. And the fact that in the last, I think, 2 months, you're running a third show now, it shows that the proof's in the pudding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's still, even right before we started, like, people were calling you to ask, hey, when do we get to the show? What's the information?
I know.
That shows that people trust what you're doing and that it's going to continue. Like, that's one of the things I always talk about with Sebi. And you said it a couple minutes ago, which is we've had people that we reached out to, venues, and they're like, oh, no, sorry, we did comedy with these guys like 2 years ago.
And it left a bad taste.
Yeah. And it's like, we're providing such a higher value than what those guys did 2 years ago, but for them, it just equates as comedians are a bunch of goof-offs. They don't do anything seriously.
Well, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction at that point, where it's just like, we've been burnt by that before, so we're not gonna, there's no need to go down that road. But at the same time, I'm not saying for people out there in the scene, don't approach venues. I'm not saying don't go try and get shit booked, but what I am saying is go at it with the right mentality and the right plan. Like, because
repeatable,
repeatable from the beginning. An opportunity for both parties to benefit. Like, there has to be those implicit mindsets involved before you even go and pitch something to a venue or somebody who's going to be producing shows, like a money person or somebody who's going to be backing production. All of those factors are so paramount in making sure that we're building consistency. And I think that's one of the things that Miami comedy lacks, is consistency. That's, if I could put it all in one word, like, what could Miami comedy use? Is consistently good shows with good crowds everywhere often. Like, that's what a lot of other scenes have available to them. Like, I was just recently in New York and did a show, and there was an 11:30 open mic that almost 20 to 30 people showed up at a random bar in Brooklyn.
Right. And they start at 2 p.m.
Right, and they're open mics, and in New York, the open mics start at 2 p.m., right? So people are going up, going out, doing all this stuff all the time, but then, when I got to that show in New York, they had one show going on at 11 or 10:30, right? They had a whole crowd. Then the show ended, and they went, all right, guys, we got another show coming in, an open mic, like, sorry, but you got to get up so we can clean. And the whole crowd got up and left. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, like, why would you do that? Like, we need those people. Like, what the heck? Like, kind of like a Miami mindset, that it was like, yo, we got to hold everybody.
You lost them forever, yeah.
Yeah, and then they opened up the doors, and another crowd of people walked in.
Yep.
A whole like completely different crowd, completely different people. Some comics doing the open mic. Some was like there was like a group of
frat guys.
Oh, frat guys, yeah. There was a group of frat guys that were there doing
supporting their friend who was doing stand up for the first time.
Well, he had lost the fantasy football league. So in fantasy football, if you don't know, Grace, if you come in last,
yeah, you have there's like this thing, yeah.
So you have to do a punishment. Sometimes it's, go to Wendy's, or sometimes it's like go to IHOP and you have to be there for 24 hours. But every time you eat a pancake, it reduces 1 hour of the wait.
Wow.
So you can eat 24 pancakes in an hour.
Is this a collective thing that you guys think up to
sometimes.
do? Wow.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's usually like the winner gets money. Like we all put in money at the beginning, so the winner gets a prize. But if you come in dead last, you have to be punished.
Oh, they should be heckled or something like that. Or they should be roasted. They should be roasted at a
See, that would be fun. That would be fun. Actually, a roast of the
I'm all about dynamic shows.
But the roast is kind of making them go up there with no... Like, sometimes they'll write material for the person, and the person has to do material that's written by the... Like, we've had it at the Improv at New Faces where people have come through. Actually, we've had a staff member of ours that... his person, like the person in his league came in last, and he set it up with the Improv to come do New Faces.
Fun.
So he wasn't just doing like an open mic, like
Fun.
Like how we were talking about in like a small little place in Brooklyn. No, you're going up for your first time doing someone else's material at the open mic at the Improv New Faces for like 200 people. But still, it was a lot of fun. Like getting like there was an implicit crowd there, and when you're in those different scenes like LA, New York, Austin, I think that's where they have separated themselves, not just from Miami, but from everywhere in the country. Consistently good shows, and I think Miami is in a perfect position to get to that spot. We just need to have
the right people in place.
We need to have more people like you, Grace. We need to have more people like you, Grace, that are trying to do this the right way and do it in like we said, in a repeatable, consistent fashion. And I think you've set a perfect example of that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's better than what my parents could say, but okay.
Well, I don't know. Let's hold our breath for tonight. Let's see how tonight goes.
Right? But, but it's a dynamic show, so if this doesn't work, we have other ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's things, in the pipeline that, are just...
It's similar to this show. Like this show, every single week we come in here and we do something different. Today we turned off the lights, guys. Maybe you noticed. The background maybe looks a little more crisp. Like there's a little less noise in terms of lighting on screen. You probably didn't notice because it was only 1% better. But that's what we do here every single week. That's what, Grace, you're doing with your shows. And that's what Miami Comedy's got to do. Get 1% better every day. We can't stagnate. We can't continue doing what we've been doing. Right. Everybody should be pushing for a little bit different. Everybody should be pushing for a little bit more.
F that. We need him. More of him.
I mean, that's what the comedy calendar is all about, baby.
Jesus.
Rachel,
motivational speaker?
Zoom in on me. She can't. I'm sorry. I helped set up this system. I know exactly what she's doing. She has no capability of that. I just put her in a hole right there. That's for sure.
But Sebi is available for booking.
Guys, and I also do media consulting. So if you're a comic and you would like to learn how to speak on a microphone like this, believe it or not, this whole show, one take.
Actually, we're all available for booking, right?
No,
okay. All right.
We are all available for booking. This was just my moment.
Yeah.
Got it.
But no, for real.
All right, zoom in on her, Ray. Zoom in on her. Go ahead.
Hello. We're all available for booking.
Yes, if you need to get someone not only for a stand-up set but also for your acting gigs, I think Grace is someone perfect for that. And that's what I wanted to get into next. Actually, is your acting career and kind of what you've been doing there, how you got started, and what you're looking forward to.
Okay. I mean, comedy, when you start off, doesn't really pay a lot of money. So acting felt like just, something I could do at the same time.
And you started comedy first?
Yes, I did.
Interesting.
I mean, I've been acting my entire life, but...
to what extent?
I'm sorry?
To what extent have you been acting?
I mean, just
with people?
Yeah, just with family,
gotcha.
Just, acting like I care. All the time. All the time.
I have to act human every time I put on the skin suit.
Absolutely. So I've been doing that my entire life. But I decided to take it serious because since comedy doesn't pay a lot of money when you're starting off, I needed something and maybe not just for the money, but just for the challenge. Just to give my brain something creative to do when comedy is slow. And comedy is slow in the beginning. You're not getting booked a lot. You're doing a lot of open mics and, things like that. So, and it's just so happened that it's been like a seesaw kind of relationship. So when comedy's down, acting, I get booked for, like a short or something like that. I'm actually shooting a feature film right now, which is really
nice.
Yes, it's called On the Run. So I will let you guys know when the premiere so I can invite you guys.
I was
And
gonna say, we'll definitely be
definitely have Dan the Man there.
Yes.
taking them pictures.
I've seen his work, so definitely need you.
But no, absolutely. And also, whenever it comes out, we'll have you back on.
Absolutely.
We can do a little promo talk about the movie. We can get the trailer. We can talk about the trailer, like the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have, like, similar to you, we have a few other comics like Carl Remy, who is putting out a movie himself.
Yes.
He's not acting in it, but he's producing it.
Yes.
We have an open invitation for you, Carl, and you already know anytime you want to come on and talk about I Possessed, we want to bring you guys on to not just talk about comedy.
Hysterical.
Very funny. I love Carl.
So good.
We did a Have Nots with Carl and a few other really great, like Adima Ward and a bunch of really good comics on the 30th of December of last year. And it was not just a fantastic show because Dom brought like
sold out. I was there.
House.
I was there.
He brought an absolutely packed house that was of amazing comics. But Carl went on and ripped for like 25 minutes straight. It was amazing, super funny. And again, Carl always has an open invitation. Him and his wife, because I know they both worked on the show together. But to come on and talk about I Possessed, and whenever the movie does fully drop and release, we're definitely going to be shouting it out right here on the Comedy Calendar because it's all about everyone and what they're doing. Comedy is it's a
communal.
It's a communal art form.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, 100%. And we have to be lifting each other up no matter what we're doing. And that's one of the things that I think, Grace, you do really well also is be able to highlight people and what they do best. So like you were saying before, one of the things that you are passionate about is like setting up the best lineups. And like I know in the past, like in the lineups that I've worked with you on and have seen you put together, it's always like with a very specific mentality in mind. And like what are some of the things that you think about as a producer when you're trying to put together like a good lineup?
So it's not about a specific comedian, but it's how everyone works together on the show, right? Because you want everyone to do well, and depending on where you put them and how they gel together. So I'm not one of those people that puts on just my friends, but it's also like I'm friends with a lot of people in comedy, right? So, and I like you said, I am able to pick apart what I feel their strongest suits are, even though they may not know that, but putting them in a certain position in the lineup and with certain people does elevate the show as a whole. Because at the end of the day, it's the cohesion of the show. You want to put on a good show. You know, you can have an okay host and then an okay, opener and feature, and then so the headliner kills, great. But it's even better when the host is amazing, when you have a great opener, when you have an amazing feature that sets it up for the headliner to do what they do best. And so that's what, to use your word, intrinsically is what motivates me, to just put on good things, to be a good entertainer, whether it's from a production value or as a stand-up myself or as an actor. So I try to, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but why I have that. But
for example, I wanted to get kind of your mentality on this. One of the things that I thought was really interesting when you've done is you kind of go with like a high-low energy structure.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. Come on, man. We don't.
Hey.
Why are we trying to tell people how to make the sausage, dude? Like, don't. These are my secrets. This is my strategy.
The reality is,
cut that, okay? I'm just kidding.
On the Comedy Calendar, like we said, we want to keep things consistent, and we want to make sure that some people can take some of your knowledge and use it in the future. One day you'll be on a lineup that is properly put together.
Sure.
And listen, if somebody can just watch the podcast, hear whatever it was that he just said, and do a show like you can, then that person needs to do it. Come on the team and help us put on some shows.
Yeah. You can be on the Comedy Calendar, fool. Come on, let's go.
Got it. No, definitely high-low energy.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't, high-energy comics are just as funny as low-energy comics. It's the writing and it's the delivery.
Yeah, it's just a style.
Right, it's just a style. So having that, and then, you also have, I'm not all about just like all one gender lineups. Yeah. So, you have to be able to.
Yeah, I was going to mention that you seem to hate women, actually.
I don't. What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding.
No, cut that for sure. No, as a matter of fact, I had Katie Lyons, Michelle Castro, myself, and Shannon Lalim, which also killed it for the roast. You weren't there.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I wasn't
You
there.
also roasting Marilyn Monroe.
Right. So, but the last show, I didn't have as many women just because it was the 31st and everyone had plans. But I love women. I just don't do a show for women, just because, I like the...
I'm sorry, you said gender, so I only jumped on that because you said I don't do one gender.
Listen, I'm okay if we wanted to bring like a trans comic too. That's okay, like...
It's 2025. Don't judge me like that.
No. No, I'm okay. I do love women, but do women love me is the question.
No, for sure. Loud and clear, heard that. But moving on to kind of the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about was what do you see as moving forward? Like, what are some of your goals for 2025 and what you want to achieve in the stand-up game? Do you have anything that you're working toward that maybe you haven't spoken about or something you want to tease? Like, just what's your outlook on 2025 for the comedy game?
Oh, just for the comedy game or just career-wise?
I mean, career-wise, but
okay.
You know, if it includes acting or whatever the case may be.
So for 2025, I want to start hitting all the franchises of comedy, right? So like Zanies and things like that, and just hit all the big cities. Because I've performed out in LA, I've done Helium Comedy Club, which is another one in Indianapolis. I've performed in New York, obviously all over Florida, and in Austin, which was like, oh my God, so good, so good, so good. Really, God, I want to move there, but also, there are things in place that are really not letting me move. But anyway, I just want to perform on bigger stages. Hit all the franchises just so that when I call them, I can already have dates. Right. So that's my goal in terms of stand up, obviously getting out of Florida and a little more and just being in another movie, seeing this premiere through and seeing what opportunities come from that and living off of it because I'm a therapist by day and, this is what I do for fun. Yeah. I would say I'm the, comedy therapist.
Right.
I do.
You be diagnosing people at the shows
all
and
the
stuff.
time. All the time.
Silly you for going to school for that long because everyone knows laughter is the best medicine.
It is the best
so
medicine.
I'm healing people too, so whatever.
It is the best medicine. What's your fee per hour though?
Yeah, no. It's usually like 15 for the night.
Got it.
I'm actually paying
a drink ticket.
I'm actually paying to get on stage, so I don't know. I don't know how that works. Negative fee?
I think you're donating to the foundation. At
That's
that point,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're just committing to the cause.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I help put up the chairs and stuff, so they give me some time afterwards.
And just getting to know all the talented people that exist and, putting them on is also another from the production aspect of what I do. So, that's pretty much it. And to be happy. That's another goal.
Nice.
Consistently.
I like that.
Like with meds and stuff, or you mean like
with what?
With meds and stuff, like finding the right balance of meds for happiness.
No, I'm currently
serotonin,
not
dopamine, and oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
Yeah.
Oxytocin. Yes. I actually wasn't breastfed, and that's where your first lick of oxytocin comes from. So I feel that's what I'm searching for.
Gotcha.
Nice.
My mother's bosom.
Right.
Yep.
And just to be clear, you can't prescribe, right? That's what.
No, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychiatrist.
Okay.
But I can prescribe you therapy.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Grace.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys.
I'm a little sick, so I don't want to.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
But it was really great talking to you and kind of getting to know a little bit more about what you're doing in comedy and your outlook on what's going to be happening in 2025.
Dynamic. If I have to put a word to it, dynamic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And right before we end, I wanted to make a quick announcement right here on the comedy calendar in front of everybody here in South Florida Comedy. Guys, we have added 2 more shows for Louis C.K., everybody in February.
Yes! I didn't even know.
Yep.
Wednesday and Thursday?
No. They'll be on the same days, Monday and Tuesday,
okay.
But they are at 9:30 for both nights. So if you guys missed the opportunity to get some tickets and you were like, no, it's sold out. Well, guess what? We added a bunch more tickets.
That's amazing.
They are selling quickly, though. So
that's amazing. I got my ticket. Oh, I'm so excited.
Grace already has her ticket. Me and Art will 100% be there because we're going to be working the door, making sure that you crazy animals get in and sat down properly. But if you did miss that opportunity, I did want to come by here right here at the end and let you guys know that we have added more shows. So definitely MiamiImprov.com. Go get your tickets. Again, I have to say it again, guys. If you see tickets for Louis C.K. at the Miami Improv anywhere else other than MiamiImprov.com, do not buy them. They will be resold. They will be listed at an insane amount, and you will not be able to use them at the show. So go on the Improv website right now before it sells out and get your legit tickets right now for Louis C.K. in February. That's going to be Monday, Tuesday. I believe it's like the 17th and 18th, I believe.
Yep.
Something like that. So if you just go on the website and go to the calendar, you'll be able to see it right away and purchase tickets. Thank you again, Grace, for being on the show. Thank you so again, much. Art, for being such an amazing host, as you are every single week. But that is going to be this week's edition of the South Florida Comedy Calendar. Guys, thank you again for tuning in and hanging out with us. As we say every week, stay tuned and keep laughing.